Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Hugh here, Builder's Office. The place where homeowners can go to get, I guess you could call them builder's secrets. I mean, it's really what I'm sort of handing out here. So, builder's secrets, they're the things that are not the common things that are talked about. And I know from first-hand experience that there's a lot of guys out there that probably don't want everybody to get some of these secrets. So, if you're listening to this and you're liking what you're hearing, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff to get this out there. We're available on a lot of different sources, so whatever the platform might be, a share, a like, a comment, anything like that that is going to get some traction to be able to get this off to the right people would be greatly appreciated, and you're going to help us out. So let's go with this at the moment. So episode number 25, I can't believe, quarter of the way to 100. Only a little bit under my age. So not too bad. But you've probably already read the top line, the heading and all that sort of thing for Are Builders Really Dishonest? Now, as a builder, I can see things from both sides, and while I would have loved to have had somebody to sit here and sort of bounce a few of these thoughts off of, and someone that's like me, like-minded with getting the right information out to everybody that's going to sort of need it. So the homeowners, and whether you are just going and speaking to a builder or whether you're doing things as an owner builder. There's benefits to all of that, and I'm not about to tell you which way you need to go. That's completely your decision. So when it comes to it, are builders really dishonest? It's a big, right now with the things that we're sort of seeing, and if you listen to some of the doomsday stuff that does go on out there when it does come to your Today Tonights and current affairs and Neil Mitchell or whoever it might be on the radio. Builders are getting a lambasting because of, I guess, what you could call their companies going under, the bad practices that lead to problems with clients. I could go on, but I'm not going to. I'll probably just leave it there for now. But what are some of the problems? And what are the things that you really could be looking out for? I mean, last week I was talking about some of the changes that could be happening, and they're going to be beneficial. I mean, some of those changes that I was discussing last week are going to be the fun part, that if some of the builders that aren't particularly great or do have some of those issues and they do disappear, then it's going to open the opportunities for other builders that might be better prepared, better skilled, to be able to take over the reins and do those projects that might have sometimes led to being with a not so great builder. So, I mean, one of those fun things that we did sort of talk about last week was just the size of the companies and some of the skills that would sort of come in from the different people in those companies as well. So there's definitely scope when it comes to the size of the companies to be able to get more benefits to you. Obviously, smaller companies, they're more experience orientated, and more specifically smaller builders, and I'm talking sometimes either sole traders or husband-wife teams. When a wife is involved, there's definitely some better outcomes, because the wife is sitting there, and generally it's not the husband that is doing this, and it is the aspect of speaking to the clients and speaking to yourselves as homeowners on an honest level about finding about what's going on, what the pain points are, and things like that. If every builder was doing that, and when we start talking about the larger companies, if the larger companies were practicing the mindfulness stuff to be able to deliver not only a good quality product, but a good service and good experience for you as a homeowner, then really that's going to be a win-win. So there can be some benefits that are going to come out of some of these companies disappearing, and really that just comes down to the size of the companies. And what can I say? I mean, I've heard the fun stories of, well, we trusted this large company because we were of the belief that they were a solid company and they had the financial backing and they were never going to go under. We've all sort of tossed up the ideas with that, and then of course when it comes to smaller builders, well, they don't have the financial backing, and one job going pear-shaped could cripple them, and that's completely true. But also at the same time, those one jobs that single job that they might be doing might not have any of the issues that could be arising from having, say, 100 jobs that have a 5% loss on every single one of those 100 jobs, and that severely dents the company. I mean, if I was to pull out some of the statistics on that, and I don't really want to be sitting here talking statistics the whole time because that just doesn't sound fun if we're talking about all that sort of thing. But the statistics were there, and they're sort of showing that, well, here's a fun one. I'll pull this one out, and the financial results of a large company. And when we're talking about cost of sales being somewhere around the $700 million mark, and the cost of sales being in around the $550 odd million range. Now, we're talking a pretty large company in Australia. Gross profit of the $135 million, but that's obviously 20%. Out of that, here's the messed up part. So these companies like to turn around and say that they're operating at a profit. Gross profit, but net profit, they're at a loss of 19 million. Because the overheads, just the overheads alone, were only a couple of $1 million short of the gross profit. So gross profit might have been what was sitting there, but then they've got to pay the overheads, depreciations and interests and all that sort of thing. And this is all based off of readily available information because they're a stock listed company, and so you can get access to the information. And yeah, one of those large companies is out almost $20 million last financial year. How are they surviving? Where's the backing coming from? And they're still operating when technically speaking they're operating insolvently. That's a scary thought. And this is one of those ones that everybody looks to and goes, they're a large company and they're solid. Could be cause for concern. But another thing that was really interesting when we did start talking about all the fun little statistics, and this goes to another person that's in the building industry, and he makes a podcast, but it's just specifically for people that are in the industry and looking to improve their businesses, which I commend him. Like, that's just brilliant. And just the same as I'm wanting to do this podcast to be able to help homeowners be able to get a better result for their home. He does this for builders so that they can deliver a better product, which then in turn helps homeowners like yourselves. But one of the things that he was talking about, and then I've got an interesting statistic here, is that when you've got large companies competing against small companies, large companies, yes, they can get the buying power and they can certainly force some costs to be more, better for them, better for their accounting anyway. But when you put the level of how much when you have a certain level of volume, large companies and volume builders and that sort of thing, they look big, but there's only a handful of them in comparison to small husband and wife teams, sole traders, and that sort of thing. So here's an interesting statistic that goes into this. 62% of building companies, building businesses out there doing homes are sole traders. That's mind-boggling. And 1% or 1.1% are large companies. So it goes to show that predominantly the people building houses out there for most homeowners are small husband-wife teams and small, less than 5 employee companies and businesses that are helping you guys out. So that it just goes to show that while market share, because of their advertising and all that sort of thing, the larger companies, they might be large, they might have the ability to deliver a product. We won't go down the road of quality, but they can deliver the product, but the service and all that sort of thing, you a lot of the times you feel like you're a number at the end. And these companies don't want you to think that is going to be the case, but ultimately that is what happened. And the evidence sort of backs that up. And what's the harm in speaking to smaller builders and finding out which one's going to fit you better and is going to be able to deliver what you want and all that sort of thing? But from then on, what really could be a problem? I mean, here you are, the company, the size of the companies, that's one issue. Could training be an issue? Because look, at the end of the day, most builders that are out there and the husband and wife teams, the skills that they have come from a trade background, predominantly. So your carpenters, your bricklayers, your plumbers, electricians, all right, plasterers, all of these guys, they go in and get their trade, and then of course they think, oh, well, I'll be able to run a business, and they start running a business, and then they find out that it's a lot more complicated than what they originally thought. And the reason that they find that out is because there's no training for it. And so are builders really dishonest? No, they're not dishonest necessarily. There might be a certain level that there is dishonesty, but I want to believe that they're not all dishonest, but more so they don't know what they don't know. So when somebody first starts a building business, they go in, and if they haven't had any training for business management, if they haven't had any training in quality control, if they haven't had any training in employee management, all these sorts of things, because believe you me, being able to run a successful and good building company, you need a number of different skills. And I'll be straight up and honest with everybody and say that for the first couple of years, we sucked. And I sucked at it. Because running a business, when you first start out and you do it young, you don't do things well. You can do your trade well, but managing the invoicing afterwards, or managing paying the employees, or chasing up invoices and payments from whoever it might be, and not being able to manage your cash flow well and stuff like that. So these sorts of things, most people don't want anybody to know this, and they try to gloss things over. And I know that there's a number of, let's say, celebrity builders or celebrity up there people that want to be out there doing some influencing, I guess you could say, as well. They talk a big show when they're on screen, all that sort of thing. But when it comes time to actually deliver, they still fall short. They can put on a good show, but they can't deliver. And yeah, I know that I've spoken to a number of people of recent times because of the big following that can come from influencers and social media and all that sort of thing. And the experience that the homeowners have isn't necessarily great, because the transparency, while it looks great on screen, the transparency doesn't translate to the actual build. And that's where there's that not the quality control necessarily, but the experience side of things to deliver what they display, what they say they're going to, and what is best for you, the homeowner, isn't necessarily always going to happen. So it's a massive concern, and I wish it wasn't like that, but unfortunately, there's so many people out there, and not every builder has the same level of experience. So are builders really being dishonest? It is very, very complicated to go down that road. And, well, I can start a little bit of it here, and I'd love to hear more from everybody on this. And if you do have an experience that does scream, oh, this guy doesn't have a bloody clue, or this guy is just giving me the worst experience and I feel like he's being dishonest, or anything like that, I'd love to hear about it. Because even if it's sitting down with a homeowner like yourself listening to this at the moment, and you were wanting to share a story, and share anonymously, happy to sit down and have a chat with you, go through it all. Don't even have to name names. We're not going to do anything like that. And we can just have a chat and see where it goes. But really love to go through this a little bit more. Want to show you people that really at the end of the day, or show everybody, not just you, show everybody that there is a way to be able to get the desired result, and a good result, and feel confident that your decision you made was good, and be at least feeling like you haven't been deceived. And that's really how it's going to go. So let's try and bring this up a little bit and finish off on a good note. Yes, there are some really good builders out there. I know a few of them. I've spoken to a few of them. I've sat in rooms with lots of them. And I'm really excited to come up shortly and have a chat with somebody. And I'm hoping that I can have a chat with her very soon. Sort of like what I do with business coaching and having a mentor and that sort of thing. Is there opportunities out there for coaching for building homes, for homeowners? It's a really interesting one. But I want to tackle that one another day with that particular person. It'll be really cool. But until then, I hope everyone has a really great week. Always love bringing out some stories for you guys, and always willing to do more. I'll bring out my fact sheets, bring out the statistics, but try to hold back too many on the statistics. And yeah, once again, I'd love you to share, like, subscribe, comment, whatever it may be, whatever platform you're on, and we'll chat again next week. But thank you. My name's Hugh. This has been The Builder's Office. We're bringing another episode 26 next week, and we'll speak to you then. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great week.